Round of applause for the squad. This set is, there's some good looking people on here.
Mamba.
Yeah, you said to me, you said, why is he called Black Mamba?
Everybody know, like, oh, he got a game in the mouth. Like, yeah, we winning. Like, people already knew it.
I'm sleeping in a tent in the back of a dually, and it's pouring down rain.
Everyone join our journey, all the viewers. Cheers, man. Cheers to y'all.
Dropping gems, sports culture, entertainment from a broader lens. This where it all begins, and we'll be talking that on or off the track. The whole crew ready, it's time to drop the jack.
What's going on, world? Welcome to Drop the Jack. Thank you for joining us all. I got my guys right next to me. I got Paul Swan, Jordan Page, Michael Hicks, and Mamba. On Drop the Jack, we're gonna be talking about culture, fatherhood, fitness and sports, health and wealth, and everything in between and everything above and below.
Man, can we just for 1 second? It's good to see you, fellas. And our captain over here, Darrell Edwards, he didn't even say his own name.
Captain
Darrell Edwards, baby.
The man.
How about this set though? A round of applause for the squad.
Sir,
This set is, there's some good looking people on here.
Handsome gentleman back
And
here.
one time before we get started and get this thing on the road,
Absolutely.
and everyone join our journey, all the viewers. Cheers, man.
Cheers.
Cheers to y'all.
Cheers, everybody.
Cheers to y'all.
Okay, so Darrell, behind you, that picture, that is an OG picture from the first time I ever went over the wall, and it was with these two knuckleheads, and that's how I met y'all, which is crazy. That goes back like, I don't know, what was that, like
That was 2014.
2014.
Heaters only back then, 25-second heaters only.
Showing my age with that one. But yeah, that was at Gresham, and Daniel Hemrick was the driver.
Yep.
And we thought we were good. 26 seconds. We thought
Hey, we knew we were good, okay? We came down third place, end of the race, money stop. We do a 25-second stop with a double adjustment.
Cheering.
I mean, there's fuel.
Cheering.
There's,
Pound on your chest.
There's fuel pouring everywhere. Our fueler, the guy slipped. The can was dipping everywhere. Our changer got covered in fuel, and we did a 25-second stop and came out first, and we were feeling ourselves.
We thought we were good.
It's funny. I got a funny story because when you introduce yourself as Mamba,
Yep.
I'm like, oh, this dude's lights out with the gun. Like, I can't wait to see him hit 5 on and 5 off. Instead,
He hit about 20 off.
you know,
I was so nervous.
I ain't gonna lie, Mamba. I'm
Hey, he
like,
said to me, he said, why is he called Black Mamba?
Yeah, I was so nervous because they all were coming from a group, like they've been working together, and I was just kind of added to their group.
You were feeling the pressure.
Just feeling, and I was just like, and it's like, I wet noodled it.
Packed in that minivan driving down to Gresham.
5 hours, bro.
Oh.
5 hours.
No, thank
So
you.
Hicks, how did you meet the squad?
So I actually met Darrell through work. We become pretty good teammates, and Jordan the same.
good friends.
Yeah, and good. Don't forget sometimes good friends. And same with Jordan. We met through work, and we become really good friends. So it's been a pleasure to work with them guys.
And Jordan, did you worked with Paul, right?
I work with
And
Paul,
Darrell.
I work with Darrell, I work with Mike. So, I've been working with all these guys in different phases of my career, and it's just been, a pleasure to, have friends like this and have people to inspire me as well as teach me how to do things right.
We all came up together.
Yeah, for sure.
Almost.
Yeah, except the
Almost.
old head.
I'm the old guy, so I'm like
seasoned vet.
I'm the grandpa.
Yeah,
I'm
we'll
the
say seasoned
grandpa.
vet.
Yeah, the stories from Hicks will be great.
And what's crazy is I feel like I would have never thought I'd have gotten a NASCAR, right? Like, that wasn't something when I was in elementary school when my teacher asked me, like, what do you want to be when you grow up? I didn't write, NASCAR, pit crew guy.
Yeah,
Well, we all couldn't be like superstars.
It was
like
basketball,
you.
right?
Yeah. I played basketball, and I always wrote NBA player. That's what I always thought I was going to do. And at my Division I level at High Point University, right up in High Point, a chaplain kind of introduced me to the sport. And I did an internship for free, showed how hard I wanted to be in the sport, and those guys asked me to come back, and yeah, I've been grinding ever since.
It's crazy, man. Like, same thing. Like, I knew nothing about NASCAR growing up. I knew who Dale Earnhardt was, Jeff Gordon, played the game, played the video game and everything, and then didn't know anything about pit crews, anything about the business side of it, the entertainment side of it, all that, and how athletic these pit stops were. And when I got into it, it was just so cool to find a whole new world after football was over, a way to compete, be a part of a team, and really just have fun with the boys.
Love it.
Yep, and I was the complete opposite. My dad worked in NASCAR. He was a tire changer, so I've been around it pretty much my entire life. So that's kind of how I got into
It's
it.
a gearhead right
think,
there,
I
baby.
think it's funny you talk about the video game. Like the guys that were going over the wall in the video game were mechanics and like guys at the shop,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
And now you guys are coming over from basketball, football. Jordan, you came from the basketball side too, right?
I played football.
Football.
College football, yeah, and
It's a football player right here, okay?
yeah, let's get that right.
I mean, he's so tall. I just in my mind, I just see him dunking all over.
yeah, I
the
mean,
place.
I'm built
Basketball players are a little soft.
like a, yeah, I'm built like a
Easy.
basketball player, but
Easy,
yeah,
Tiger.
Even when I came into the sport, it's changed. Like it's just the time that I've been here. Like if you walk up and down pit road now, I mean these guys are monsters compared to what it used to be, 15 years ago.
So when you see these guys, when you see, because we're like the same height, but they're like quite a bit bigger than us. Are you like, these guys would have been different?
Yeah,
back then.
when they started bringing in these stud athletes and stuff like that, I was like, oh, I might want to start looking for something else because these guys are.
Did you take the approach of like, should I start training harder? Like, what was your thought process on that? Like, cause you might have been chilling, you might have been gifted at what you did, but like.
I was young, so like, being young, you really don't think about that. You're like, you think you're bulletproof, so you can be like, I don't need that. No, I'm still gonna beat those guys. So it didn't cross my mind until, we had to go from 6-man to 5-man. That's when it really hit for me.
Man, that was
sweet,
such a
wasn't it?
bomb
Yeah.
job.
Yeah.
I remember
Yeah.
I was home in Wisconsin on Thanksgiving break, end of the season, enjoying my time off, and then wake up one morning and they're like, "Oh, we're going to 5-man. We're getting rid of a carrier," and I'm like, "Great, gonna have to learn how to jack, do everything else," and
And all the teams started to panic.
yeah, oh yeah.
So what y'all got to explain that to me because I know, but like, how different is that? Like, what was the 6-man like, and then what was it like going to 5-man?
I got a first-hand story on it. I was really good at jacking the car and just pulling the tire off.
Right.
That's the 6-man. All I had to do was pull the tire off and basically run fast to the left side and jack the car up. But when they introduced the hanging the tire side of things, I could recall having a meeting, and
I
being
remember
told
this.
that I was basically a backup. I was not good at hanging tires, and I wasn't going to translate into that next gen of them taking the guy away. And I just had to get to work. I was pissed.
And you worked your ass off.
Nah, I had to. I mean, it was, I'm trying to feed my family at the end of the day. So I just knew I had to grind and figure it out. I wasn't going to be told that I'm a backup. I never been that in my life. So I wasn't about to settle for that. You know what I mean?
He said, wait a second. wait.
You got to.
Jordan, because you guys run the same position with the jack, but you're like, we talked about it, you're one of the tallest jackmen on pit road,
Probably
right?
the tallest, yeah.
So how was that transition for you? Because, that's a long way to go for you to
Yeah.
get down and hang that tire.
At the time when I got into it, jackmen were mostly tall. It was a lot of taller jackmen out there at that time. But when you had to hang a tire, that changed everything. A lot of jackmen got out of the sport. Being taller was no longer the advantage, and it used to be an advantage before because for the leverage. But yeah, I remember just that day when I was told that it went from 6 to 5, and I had to hang a tire. I was like, there's no way. There's no way. Like I literally, my confidence went so low from me just being able to get good at jacking the car, and I felt like I was pretty confident that I'm like, okay, I'm making good progress.
Right.
Then they say, yeah, now you got to hang a tire, and I'm like, I was just so I felt defeated in that moment, just at the thought of having to do it. I'm like, I don't think I'm gonna be able to get good at this quick enough to be able to try out for a team. And then I just kept working on it till it got dark outside. I was outside hanging tires trying to get good at it and grinding. So
With being a dude from up top Buffalo, New York, knowing nothing about it, and you coming in the sport, and me and you done had these conversations in my basement, and for inspiration, right? Because you didn't know you'd be doing this, you didn't know if you was gonna be accepted in it, the whole nine, right? What was you told me you had a special story where you said you saw inspiration in me, and I kind of want you to explain to us as well as the audience on what did that mean by the inspiration?
I saw your success, and I saw, how you carry yourself, how you look, and I'm just like, if he can make it from where he's from and, how he presents himself, where you present yourself in a good manner, but it's the stereotype of being tattooed and, being from a certain area, people just kind of write you off. And when I saw that you had success and you obviously worked your way to that point, I was like, if he can do it, I can do it. So that just drove me to be eventually I'm gonna be able to get in the spot, similar to what he's in. So I just use that as fuel because I didn't have a lot of examples of somebody my age, in the spot you were in, my age, my race, in the spot you were in. So I look towards you to be like, it's possible. He's doing it, I'm gonna do it.
And it's funny because I feel like I didn't necessarily, when I got in, have those things to look at, And it was tough, but it was more like proving that I didn't want nothing handed. You know what I mean? I wanted to earn it. I seen the camaraderie of the locker room feel like you talked about early, Paul, of like just 5 or 6 guys, whatever it was at that time, like working for one common goal, and that was being fast at whatever they did.
Yep.
You know, and controlling, like it was just controlled chaos, and I wanted to be a part of it. So instead of going overseas and playing ball and chasing that dream that I've seen guys chase forever and end up losing time of life, making money, being able to provide for themselves, I was like, I'll go join this other sport and be a pro at that. So
I feel like everybody, like there's a lot of like trailblazing things going on at this table, and for Hicks it's like a passing of the guard, so you get to watch the old way into the new way, and you kind of get to be a little bit in between, right? Like, you know, y'all know White Chocolate Jason Williams. He's kind of like Jason Williams. Like if Jason Williams could be in the league now, he'd be throwing dimes all over the place.
I mean, if there's a NASCAR Hall of Fame for pit crews,
he's in it.
he'd be one of the first
With all
guys
those
in.
wins?
I've been through
attest to that.
I've been through all the generations for sure. The pit stop.
talk
been-
about it. Talk
yeah,
about
man.
it a little bit, Hicks. Like talk about. I mean,
What you been doing? 40 years now?
No,
Twen-
20 years.
20 plus
Been doing it
years.
20
Yeah.
years.
But that's crazy. That's crazy, like, right? Because you look at like Tom Brady, LeBron, these guys that have played for a long time. Yeah, they have all the accolades, but to be able to keep your body up, doing all that. So how's that been for you, staying locked in?
You know, it's like I said, I got into it at 18 years old. So I was young. I was having a lot of fun. I was successful early. You know, I got on a good team. Was winning a lot of races. Yeah. So I mean, I've been through all the curves, and then, you know, like the 5-man, the tire changer had to start pulling his own tire, right? So I had to get in the weight room, had to get some strength to make it through that, and then obviously the one lug, right? Like that changed the game. Like what made a good tire changer is you had to be accurate on 5 lug nuts.
So if you had to tell a viewer or somebody watching, how do you have longevity in this sport and be at the top of your game for 20 plus years, what would you say?
I would say the main thing you need to do is be a good teammate. I mean, it don't matter how good you are. If you're a terrible teammate, it will eventually catch up with you.
Wow.
There is no doubt about that.
It's funny you say that because I didn't expect that answer. I was looking for something more like I grinded, you know, I
Yeah.
took care of my body. So for you to answer that way, it says a lot about who you are and exactly how you did stick around for 20 plus years.
Yeah.
And people attest that you should be in the Hall of Fame. You are one of the best. You are a legend. And quite frankly, as a guy that's your teammate right now, on this opening show, I want to give you your flowers while I still can. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Because you're
appreciate
still
that.
active too.
Thank you.
And we ain't waiting till it's over and your career is over. You
No,
know what I
we're-
mean?
we're still
So-
grinding.
So I'm just giving you your flowers, bro.
Drop the jack on that one.
yeah,
Drop
for
the
sure.
jack on that one.
For sure.
Cheers.
Drop the
Thank
jack, my guy.
Listen, I think it's so cool having you here because it reminds me of when I got here. Because when I got here, it was before not quite a bit, but a decent amount of time before you guys. And this is the only thing I ever wanted to do was be in the sport, right? So when I got here, there really wasn't a whole lot of people that looked like me, right? Like, especially not turning wrenches. And so even on the pit crew side, like it was gaining, but it hadn't really got that to that point in 2011. So, and I was transitioning from being a driver into being a mechanic. So now you got to prove yourself. Like, it was always proving myself. All right, he wanted to be a driver. That didn't work.
Yeah.
Let's see if he can, you know, set this car up. Like, you got to prove yourself that you learn and take the thumpings. And, like, the thumpings.
That's a big swing.
The thumpings in the
That's
garage.
from a driver to a mechanic.
Woo!
What
Used to be
made
the
you
guy.
want to drive, Mama? Like you talk about that, but
Yeah.
where did that passion come from for wanting to be a driver? And
I went to.
Well, what did you see?
I was like 3 years old. My dad took me to Ken Squire's old racetrack up in Vermont. It's called Thunder Road Speed Bowl, and I loved it. Like, loved the sounds, loved the cars, like all the stuff. So I was like 3 or 4. My dad got me a go-kart the next year. And I've told this story like a bunch of times, but I swear to God, if we didn't win at the beginning, I probably wouldn't have done it because I don't do stuff I'm not like good at. Like my dad wanted me to play golf. Well, like the type of athlete I am, I started throwing clubs. Like, I'd have a bad shot, and but at least in the car, it's just you, and you can make it back up. Like, you can find speed and all this stuff. So if we didn't win early, I probably wouldn't have done it. But like, something that helped me was I was different already in my hometown. So, that being one of one in my hometown, in my state for the most part, black and driving, and then just black in general, and then like I was already different, so I could relate to that. And I feel like probably you and your daughter can relate to that a little bit, is like the father part to that. The connection is different.
It's definitely different. Whenever you have a female driver,
That's way different.
You can't coach them like you could a male. That's for sure.
Have you seen your daughter, like, have you seen her growth when she's like competing against the boys, right? Because in all of the sports, you're really not going to compete against the boys unless you really go out and want that. But have you seen her like growth in that?
Oh yeah. I mean, obviously in racing world, a female is your numbers are against you, right? Like, there's only 2 or 3 in the field, and just for her, I try to teach her, to be aggressive. Don't let them boys take advantage of you.
Dog them boys.
Yeah, if they rough you up, you rough them back. And I think that's helped her in life too, like the competition side of it.
Yeah.
Like being a female and her having that type of competition. I mean, even if she quit tomorrow, I think that she would have learned a lot having that competition built in her.
It's funny because, man, like now, like I've got 10 years in the sport, kind of feel like a veteran, still got a lot, to prove and do to myself, not to anyone in particular, but I want to do it long enough for my son to see me and know exactly what I do.
Yep.
Know his dad, works on cars, fit on cars,
on
race
TV.
cars. I mean, he holds up his cars now like that. Your car? Just because it's red or whatever the color may be. What about you, Paul? That's my.
You work on the cars too?
I do a little,
You want to turn that around?
Hey,
That man ain't working.
I can hammer on some stuff.
Well, no, it's funny because when we came in together, like me and him didn't know anything about cars. Like we were athletes and coming into this new world of NASCAR and gearheads and walking through the shop, seeing guys who've been in the sport for 20 years, and it's intimidating. It can be intimidating coming to this sport for people who aren't familiar with working on cars and knowing what to do. And man, I used to grab the wrong tool for my dad so much back in the day.
Them shop guys can be
Right,
hard.
those shop guys,
those shop guys
can be hard on you.
They know you coming from sports too, so they know you don't know everything.
And so they kind of try to take advantage of that.
Yeah.
But then you kind of start earning their respect. You show them you want to work hard and you want to learn, and definitely still learning stuff. I still, I probably can't change my oil. I can rotate my tires. I can, fix a flat tire and all that
That's
stuff.
really all you. If you can fix your flat, like as long as you can change
I'm
your
getting
tire.
good with those T-handles and everything. So
You don't know how to fix a flat, but I do see you posting
brother, I'm fixing them all the
I
time.
got you. I do see you posting quite often on the grill, smoking some meat in your spare time. Talk about that a little bit, Paul. Like, what do you do outside of this?
You all want the best steak, you know where to come. If anybody else wants the best steak, I'll tell you where I live.
I'll tell you where. Mario's gonna love that.
We're gonna we're opening up a shop at the Swan residence. I love getting on the Big Green A, getting on my Rec Tech, just smoking whatever I can. Steak, ribs, chicken ribs are my favorite.
I can attest to that. Paul do make a good steak. He does smoke some good. Y'all know what I want to say, but I ain't. But nah, man, he does well. Like, Jordan, what you got, man? What you doing outside there? You cooking anything?
Not doing too much cooking. I meal prep personally, so yeah, I love that. But I'm all about vibes, man. I'm all about good energy. So I do anything to try to, calm my mind, make my body feel good. So I love to travel, just the exposure of going somewhere different, just taking in whatever culture I'm in. Spending time with my family, a lot of people, they live, in Buffalo and Florida and Texas, so I travel to see my family. Nobody lives here in Charlotte with me, and I just read a lot. I try to, fill my mind with positive things and learn something new about myself, about other people around me, to just get me be able to navigate through life, with more ease instead of being so, aggressive, I would say, or distracted from what I'm doing. So I'm all about good vibes, good energy, positivity.
I knew he was an astute looking, with the glasses looking astute. I didn't realize that,
tranquil man right there.
So what kind of books are we reading? Like,
it's like self-help books. Obviously, I read books about nutrition, how I eat, what we should be eating or what I have realized we should be eating. But yeah, I just try to do anything. And I also financial books too, trying to, make sure I do well with my money. So
So you're not going over to Paul's to get,
I
some...
mean, I'll go to Paul's because that's my guy.
But are you eating
Are you eating what he's cooking?
What's the choice?
He's gonna want to try one of my steaks.
He put some salmon on the grill, he got
Hey,
me.
I can.
Okay,
I can-
so you're
some
like,
nice
you like
cedar
salmon
flakes.
and like
Yeah, some
salmon and like
salmon,
greens.
Yeah, greens, vegetables, fruit. That's my favorite. That's my go-to. But you put some seafood on there,
Hey,
you got me over
I'll
there.
get you some cedar
I will
flakes.
say, my
I'm
wife
there.
keeps you in mind when she
Yeah,
knows you
man.
coming
I
over.
love
She's
her
like,
for that.
we gotta get some fruit for Jordan.
That's all
He
right.
ain't touching
She still thinks I only eat fruit, but I'm cool with that,
Hey,
though.
you
I'm
can't
cool with
blame
that.
her, though.
No, I can't blame her at all, because the last time she saw me, that's what I was doing, so I get it. But yeah, I appreciate that she just keep me in mind.
And you
But
stay cheering for your 4 NFL teams, right?
Two.
Two.
Two NFL teams.
Okay, now we're down
I'm from,
to 2.
I'm from Buffalo,
Right.
so obviously that's a given. That's in my blood.
Yeah.
But the Ravens, I grew up being a fan of Ray Lewis because I had number 52 as a kid.
Everyone has to like Ray Lewis.
So,
everybody-
so I had the number, and he was the only person that had the number at the time that was good. So I was like, okay, I like him. So I kind of adopted the Ravens as my team. But
I'm sorry.
Hey, we in the playoffs every year.
Yeah,
So
who's your team, Hicks?
I don't really have a team.
Oh, so you're just over there
Oh, but
talking.
he's
I
sorry.
I don't
He's
really have
sorry
a
for
team.
me.
I mean, the Panthers have been letting me down. I'll put it to you.
Oh,
Okay, the Panthers
that's
been
really
letting
his
you
team.
down.
That's
They've
his
been
team.
they've been letting me down.
So in your free time, you're not going to Bank of America Stadium down there. So what are you doing?
I try to go every once in a while. I try to
Okay.
catch some games.
So you
but
got a team.
Yeah.
yeah,
That's
you,
the same
you got to.
brother. I'm
Yeah.
a Panthers guy.
But that's his
Exactly.
team.
My
Yeah.
team.
Exactly.
I
Don't
got
get discouraged. Yeah, it's all right. We're just in a down area.
Down a decade, but yeah.
I got a fun fact about Hicks, because like I said, I've been his teammate the last 3 years.
Oh, no. Here
From
we
Baltimore, we're known for 12 o'clock boys. 12 o'clock means dirt. You got a dirt bike and you wheelie it, and you got that thing horizontal, right?
Yeah.
You can
That's
try
right.
it.
Hicks
For sure.
is
That's right.
actually a motocross guy. He's in the dirt
Yeah.
bike. So talk about that.
Yeah, so that's what I grew up doing. I grew up on 2 wheels, and I mean, obviously, I fell in love with it, and I chased that dream of going pro, and I won a lot of races around here, dominated around here, and I went up to qualified. Yeah, I qualified for a national, and I went up there to New York, and I'm telling you what, I got beat so bad.
Different game up there.
Different game, man. Like they rolled in 18 wheelers and 3 or 4 bikes, and I'm sleeping in a tent in the back of a dually, and it's pouring down rain. And I'm like, oh my gosh, here we go.
You was hood rich at the track.
I got
rich.
worked bad, and I was like, you know what? I probably need to cancel this dream.
Gotta walk light in New York, man.
Yeah.
Gotta walk light.
That's wild, man. I love that though. I can relate to that because when I came down for the first Drive for Diversity Combine, everyone had fire suits that were sponsored with their names on them and and I had this like thing off the rack from like God knows where up in New England. I'm like, hey,
What's up, guys?
what's up? Like but when you step into that light, it's different. Like then you get to decide, am I here for it? Like, do I want to put that work in to be great at this, or like, did I just kind of like it?
And get real, you definitely gotta turn it on.
Yep.
Like when you want to take this sport serious, you gotta turn it on. You gotta like
With
put your
anything
mind
in
to
life.
it. Yeah, with anything in
Yeah,
life, really.
anything.
If you pursuing anything, you gotta like have that moment where you like, okay, I'm gonna take this serious. I'm gonna do it to get good. Because if not, I'm not gonna be around long anyway. So you definitely gotta turn that switch on.
And speaking of that, man, I want to kind of simmer down a little bit. Y'all know we got the man cave vibes too. As men, right? Growing up, we're all men sitting here, and we all had our fathers bringing us up. And most of the time, you get that stigma of, get up, son, don't cry, be a tough guy, right? But I kind of want to get vulnerable for a second and go to this segment that we're gonna do to the show, the audience. We're gonna do a segment called Gloves Off. That's where we get vulnerable with each other. We open up a little bit because I think it's okay as a man to be vulnerable. It's fine to be that way, and everybody should know that it's okay. And for me, man, my gloves off moment is hanging up the basketball shoes, bro. For my whole life, I got into basketball at 8 years old. I was kind of following the footsteps of my brother, who was a great basketball player, ended up going to college for football. I was just following his footsteps. So me transitioning into this sport, it was very hard for me to hang up the shoes, man, because that was like my personality. That's what everyone knew me for. And I thought I was gonna go pro one day. But in order for me to get good in what I was transitioning to, which is NASCAR, and if I wanted to be great at it, I had to put the shoes up, which was a tough moment for me. I mean, heartbroken for sure, because I love basketball.
100%. I feel the exact same way I played football all my life, growing up from kindergarten on, and it becomes like you don't want your sport to become your identity or what you're doing to become your identity, but it just naturally does. And like anytime you go places, especially in college, you're like, well, yeah, I'm on the football team. I'm starting on the football team, and it's like you use that to try to, you know, make people want to get to know you or want to hang around you and stuff. So it kind of becomes your identity in a sense. And when I had to hang my football cleats up, I mean, I cried when I knew it was over. I was at my grandparents' house and I was just bawling because I'm like, what do I do? I felt lost. Like, you kind of have an identity crisis.
Yeah.
And it's like, you got to pick up the pieces and find what's next and just, you know, have faith in God that He's got a plan for you. And, you know, luckily for me, it brought me down to North Carolina to be a strength coach. And then from that, I found NASCAR and got hooked up with some teams and met this guy right away. And we kind of came up together. And now look at us here. So it's just, it's cool. And it's tough, but if you can pick yourself up and find your way to the next thing, I think you're better off for it.
For sure.
Yeah, and similar to something you said about when you started racing and you won right away, that was how it was with me in football.
It changes everything.
Yeah, it made me love football right away because I got, you know, I was with a little league team who was well known around the city, and right away at 6 years old, we won the championship, went undefeated, didn't even get scored on the whole year. Second year, same thing, won the championship. We got scored on one time, but it was in a championship game. We blew them out though. So right away, I was just like in love with football. Yeah. Like it was winning, and that's all I knew was winning, right? It's playing football and winning. So yeah, that was also my identity at that point because that was the first thing I knew I was good at. Like it was like I knew for sure I was good at football. My coaches told me, my peers told me, I'm like, that's what I do. That's
going to the league.
Yeah, I'm going to the league.
Yep.
Like that's my dream.
Yep.
That's who I am, right?
Yeah.
And I would go to school on Friday. That's the day of the game, and I'm like, everybody know, like, oh, he got a game tomorrow. Like, yeah, we winning. Like, people already knew, like, because that was like our culture where I'm from. Like, we play sports. That's what we do. That's what we think we are at that time, right? And when you a kid, like what you were saying, that is your identity at that point because that's your perspective, right? Okay, people know me as this athlete, so
that's your worth.
That must be who I am, right? As good as I am on the field, that's how people treat me outside of the sport.
Yeah.
So when you got to make that switch from doing that and nobody no longer knows you as that person, or you know you're not that person no more. Like, yeah, I used to be that, but I'm no longer that.
You're top of the totem pole, then you're
it takes a while to adjust, man, because your ego. Everybody that plays sports has an ego.
Yep.
And
when
also
you don't have
the
that
unknown.
no more,
The unknown.
The
You know
unknown
what I mean?
of
Like,
the future,
like
for sure.
Once I hang this up, you know, what's next for me?
Right.
What you got? What about you?
Man, mine's a little different, and all the dads out there probably can relate. But my firstborn, you know, everything that you thought you loved the most, and then that baby comes out and you hold it for the first time. It's a game changer, and the dads out there know what I'm talking about.
Absolutely.
So
Look at them. You
Yeah,
got hit a corner over there.
I got two dads over there, but yeah, that's a moment.
Well, why necessarily was it a game changer, King?
You know, it's just that becomes the number one thing in your life, right? You know, you have to care for it, you have to take care of it, you have to guide it, and that just becomes your sole focus in the world. So that was my gloves off moment for sure.
It's almost one of those moments where, you know, you stop living for you at that point. 'Cause I'm a
100%.
father as well. I got a 2-year-old, and you're exactly right. It ain't about you no more.
Nope.
You know, all the fun you had prior, that stuff got to get put on hold, you know, to a certain extent.
Yeah.
And I do everything for my son. You know, every move I make, you know, I'm thinking about him, and I mean, he means everything to me. You know what I mean? I do everything for him.
Now, I'm not saying the second born is not important. So y'all don't go judging me out there just thinking I'm
Got a favorite.
The second one always gets the
Don't
gets the
think the
shorter end of
first one has
stick.
special treatment.
The crazy thing is,
I love all mine.
Zero.
I don't have
let's make sure
I love them still.
The crazy thing is about that is even when, like, so I'm 32 and my parents just moved. I just moved them from Vermont to Charlotte area, right? And I was with my dad here recently, and it was his birthday. He just turned 70 this year. So, like, watching them get old and not be able to think as fast and move as fast, like, when that hits, it's like, oh, yeah. It's starting to get, like, really real. And so we were bowling, and he still bowled like a 139. His sciatic nerve has not available.
Don't let them fool you now.
No,
he's
he's
tricking
still,
you, man.
like,
He's
he's doing
hustling you.
140.
Really is.
I'm like, okay. But like watching them get old and trying to find ways to be a part of their life as much as getting them a part of mine. So my dad meal prep, he's a chef, so he's meal prepping for me now. My mom is helping me outfit my condo, like, you know, because all those things, that's gonna be pieces of them that I'm gonna remember and be able to keep and take pictures of. Because we never really did that when I was a kid. We didn't do a whole lot of video taking of it. So I'm like watching I'm like, dang, I need to start documenting these moments with my parents.
It's almost gonna flip.
Right?
You know, they used to care for you.
I'm already
it's almost
paying some of the bills, and I'm like,
Yeah.
oh shoot, this is a little different. Like, okay.
Yeah.
Well, it gives you perspective on life, right? Like, you know, as much as we're however old we all are, it goes fast.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And especially for the fathers, we know having kids, just how time flies. So it gives you perspective just to enjoy it, you know, be in a moment. I love that we're all sitting here because we all got collective different perspectives, man, and I wouldn't want to be sitting at a round table with no one else, you know, discussing these perspective moments, man. And yeah, man, I love it. I love that we're able to get vulnerable with each other as men, to show people that it's okay to be that way, as well as touch on topics, you know, that we're gonna hit on: culture, fatherhood, fitness and wealth, and everything in between,
coming in,
man.
some homies
like
coming
that.
in, get some. That's gonna be cool.
Yeah, I'm waiting for that episode of fitness and wealth.
I like that. I like the fitness and wealth talk.
Yeah, wealth, health.
Thank you guys for joining in on Drop the Jack. Check us out on YouTube, NASCAR.com, or anywhere that you get your podcast from. Like I said, we're going to be hitting on all topics from culture, fatherhood, health and wealth, fitness and sports. And we could cheers to that, guys. It was a great show.
Cheers to that.
And check us out next week on Drop the Jack.
My friends dropping gems, sports, culture, entertainment from a broader lens. This where it all begins, and we'll be talking that on the off.